Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take it from the Iron Woman. We only have special guests, and today we go back to the Philippines. We have spoken to Dinah before, and I checked. It was in 2021. Now it's 2023, actually the end of 2023. Welcome, Dinah. Maybe introduce yourself quickly, but what has happened between 2021 and 2023?
Thank you, Susan. It's good to be back. It's been a while. Many things have happened. At the time, I had just relocated to the northern part of the Philippines to live in a community of people seeking more enlightenment and enhancing their spirituality. And since then, I have done more work. I can definitely say I am more enlightened now than I was 2 years ago.
Good. I'm happy to follow your growth and your path. And I remember one story that stuck with me was that you were talking about educating the local people on if you have too many tomatoes, sun-dry them and to be sustainable. And we build. I'm always thinking of you when I see the abundance of tomato, but tell us a little more like what you've been doing and where you are today.
That part still in the works. I haven't done much along that line, but slowly just introducing certain concepts to the locals. When I go to the market, I tell them you can pickle this, ferment this, dry this, but not yet at a large scale, eventually. But more, I've been working more maybe in terms of the enlightenment aspect, particularly for leaders. One of the things that I have been involved with is our Institute for Leadership, known as the Wisdom Institute for Leadership and Global Advancement, where we aim to bring more wisdom in leaders and more conscience in the entrepreneurs. Because what we see now in the world is there's a lot of greed, just more looking for profit. And that's all the metric that we are concerned about. But if we develop more wisdom and conscience in our business people, in our leaders, then they can do more good for not just for themselves in terms of earning, but also for their consumers, for the environment, and for all the stakeholders. And at the Institute, I focus on the self-development pillar. We have 3: self-care, self-development, and self-mastery. And in self-development, we have workshops for organizations to make them more a powerhouse organization because their leaders are more enlightened. For coaching and mentoring, we also have a Balanced Life Strategy program where we help leaders achieve balance in the 5 key areas of life. Because often in corporate, we talk about work-life balance. And these are just 2 aspects. I'm sure you've encountered this in your coaching. Many leaders also have issues with their health because often this is the part of our life that gets neglected in our pursuit for more money, more success. The other 2 aspects, the one is social contribution, where we can really give back to society in terms of our service, not just charity work, but really giving our time and talent and resources to help humanity become better, to bring more good and to help others. And the last one is your spiritual life. This is probably something that most people don't even think about. But this is our higher purpose and mission in this life. Why are you here? This is who you are, not what you are. Because for us, we are always concerned with, okay, when we introduce ourselves, oh, I am CEO of this, I am this, I got this award, and I have built this, blah, blah, blah. But that is what you do. But the who aspect, who are you as a human? That's your spiritual life. That is who you really are, your essence. Those 5 key areas are what we help leaders with. to balance. That is what I'm working on now. And then for those leaders that want to move on to something deeper, like understanding the world and then the universe, the more esoteric topics, we have the self-mastery pillar. That's what we do at WILGA. And I have been sharing more about this and working with clients on this. We work with both companies and also individuals.
And before we were recording, I was amazed when you talked about that triangle. Tell us.
What we also found in our work is that we need the aspects of power, love, and light in leaders. And most leaders are very intelligent. They have reached that kind of position or level in their careers because of that. We have both the concrete intelligence that allows us to implement, do things, the more tactical aspect of our intelligence. And we also have the abstract intelligence that allows us to strategize and think bigger, the big picture thinking, as we like to call it in corporate. The other aspect of love, which is the more connection part, but not the kind of love that is more what we call emotional, which is like you mercy, pity, something like that, but a higher kind of love that allows you to connect with people in a deeper way. And then the other aspect is the willpower. And in our studies, in our work, we have seen most leaders have two strong qualities. All of them are intelligent. Some of them are loving, but they don't have willpower. These are what we call, if you look at the persona, maybe more like Deepak Chopra, the more loving kind of people. I'm not saying he doesn't have will, but just as an archetype. And then you have the very willful people, but maybe not a lot of heart. You have the Hitlers, and you have in the Philippines, President Duterte, the former president, or Moses, biblical times, who just will do something, implement it, regardless of what happens, who falls out, and what are the consequences. I achieved my goal. But what we want to be able to become more enlightened as a leader is to have balance of the three aspects. So you have the intelligence, you have the love aspect, and you also have the willpower.
That love is about communication. It's about understanding others. It's a social emotional intelligence. That's where I see when I do coaching is a lot where people are lacking. They need to get the biggest, the highest, and the most money out of their position. You need to have a good team behind you, and you need to exude your love for them.
The wisdom aspect in your leadership, where you can also be more intuitive, not just always logical. You have to also develop that as a leader. And so our programs focus on helping you to develop the aspects of your leadership that are weaker. If we see you have less willpower, then we will give you some workshops on how to develop your willpower. One of the things, if you have some listeners who may be very loving but lack the will, one of the things you can do is have more dynamic activities in your life, like martial arts, boxing, where you have strong energy. Do more squats. And if you're very loving, the chances are you will be more inclined to do things like yoga, because that's already your personality. You want the more gentle kind of practice, more relaxing. But you need to balance. You also need to do these kinds of more dynamic activities to develop your fire and your will. The reverse is also true. No, so very strong types, they don't like yoga. They find it too slow. For them, they need to also, on the other hand, have that kind of practice. A more, I would say, contemplative, meditative, expand the heart more, do more maybe social work, something like that, so that the heart is developed. Do more, maybe explore more dancing, music, because usually people who are very willful can also be very rigid. They're the types who will, in a party, will not be dancing because they cannot dance. They say they cannot dance, right? To develop that, to open up. So that's what you also need to. Those are just simple techniques, but of course, there's a deeper practice that we teach them in our institute.
And I think leaders, they're sometimes so focused on the results, on the money, that they are lacking that element of play or flow or whatever we want to call it. And then when we as coaches come in, they're like, you should do more yoga. They're like, no, I don't like this. It's not so easy. How do you convince them?
Well, in our institute, we also have a way to help them energetically because these things have some foundation in our energetic bodies. Through the energy centers in our body, we have to balance. When we have certain techniques to balance our energy centers, then we can be more open and we can develop the flow also and that remove that rigidity aspect. Of course, it's not a one-way street, right? We also give them some homework that they can practice for themselves to explore that. We also find a lot of this maybe behavior or character can be linked to some health issues. Some people who have a very rigid kind of personality may have some problems with their bones or spine, for example. Or some people who are very loving but don't have will may have usually diabetes is a common.
Really?
The energetic imprint of the diabetes is a more loving kind of person. We can also help because there is also in our organization, the self-care aspect for the leaders. That's where we can also help them to address these kinds of health conditions to help them become more productive and effective as leaders.
Sometimes we don't think about that. We want to be a leader. We have to be in front of people, but then we forget about ourselves. And now listening to you, okay, it's time to observe more. And also when I do coaching, probably listen more to the people, how they present themselves and add that flow and loving kindness into the mix.
Because what in our organization, we really like to focus on the human side of the leader. Not because your company will take care of all your hard skills and all your metrics, but we want to develop you as a human, as not just the body, but your soul also. The soul and the spirit is what makes you. It's your humanity.
Totally.
That's the who.
Not the what.
Not the what. Focus more on who you are, not what you are.
And we're coming almost to the end of the year. What do you foresee for 2024?
Oh, I'm not psychic, but I wish, but maybe that's something I can develop in the future. What I see a lot of people also now. We were talking earlier about what COVID has been like and what it has done. And I hope that for 2024, maybe my wish rather than my forecast is that for more people to really develop and exercise more discernment and discrimination and just to see things a deeper meaning to whatever is happening and to find a practice or a group that can help you develop these aspects in you. The virtue and the value of discernment, discrimination, among others, and also how you can just don't take things at face value. Do your own research. If something happens, like another virus, another version of COVID, just study, research, and don't just be a victim of what the media tells you, of what your government tells you. Listen to your own instincts as well, and look at everything in a different perspective so that you can also make your own decisions in a more informed way rather than just conforming to what the majority is doing. Because I think this is one of our modern sins, is conformity. We conform to the majority. Sometimes you also have to be in the minority because sometimes the minority can be right.
Thank you so much for that wisdom. The minority can be right. Thank you so much, Dinah, and I wish you all the best and hopefully to see you soon in person.
Your schedule allows
when my schedule allows it, my busy schedule. That's the hard part, but I love to certainly visit you in your ashram and learn from you and be part of your journey. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thanks, Susan. Time flies so fast, but it's always a pleasure to be talking to you about these things, and I look forward to seeing you in person.
Yes, I promise.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Always an inspiring conversation with Dinah from the Philippines. One day, I really want to go in person. I promise. Maybe you come with me. Take it from the Iron Woman. We have episodes every Monday. Don't miss out. There is cool stuff with cool people. where you can learn from and enjoy also the conversation. And also the book is available. Take It from the Iron Woman, Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. Buy it in your local bookstore or download it so you can read it, be part of the conversation. Thank you for your support. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.